The sun is barely up in San Joaquin County as the assembly room at Team Charter School springs to life. Patients are already lining up down the hall to see Nurse Sherry.
Oh, what's this Band-Aid from?
That's a Band-Aid because I got a paper cut.
Oh.
As a registered nurse, Sherry Vitale is trained to handle everything from infectious diseases to emergency care. Her prognosis, this owie just needs some TLC.
My mom just said put lotion on it.
I can give you some hand sanitizer if you want to try that.
Seconds later, this first grader is back in action.
So rub that real good.
I'm going back to the North Pole.
Okay, let's go.
Cuts and scrapes are a dime a dozen around here.
One ice pack left. Were you at recess or at PE? Here you go, my dear. You can take that back out, okay?
But as more kids stream in, it becomes clear that Sherry has a bigger, more important role to play. The responsibility she shoulders is immense.
You say, ah. You have to look at the whole child, because it's fine to have a student sitting in the seat and say, okay, we want you to write this paragraph, we want you to solve this equation, but you might not know what the student is bringing with them. No.
There's not a really good awareness among educators of what a school nurse does or of what health in a school looks like. People tend to think of the nurse as the person who puts on Band-Aids on a skinned knee, and anybody can put a Band-Aid on.
While some schools have licensed vocational nurses, only registered nurses have the training to make medical assessments and create health plans for their patients. The problem is, even in districts with RNs, they're often spread too thin.
The National Association of School Nurses and California School Nurses Organization have been recommending a school nurse to student ratio of 750 students per school nurse. Most school nurses have about 2,000 to 3,000 caseload. I know a nurse that she's the only RN in a district of 9,000 students.
Sherry Vitale covers 3 schools each day, driving distances of 30 miles or more between her preschools, elementary, and high schools. Her inability to be in 3 places at once is a problem.
When you're covering 3 schools, you're never at one of those schools every day, and you can't predict when a medical problem is going to arise. You can't say when someone's going to have a seizure, and it might be the first time ever. If it was my child, I'd rather there be a nurse there than a teacher or teacher's aide or the playground supervisor.
While Sherry keeps a calm demeanor on the surface,
I hope you feel better.
Underneath, she's hyper-vigilant, looking for situations that can escalate quickly. Case in point, Alaina Banks, age 6.
I was outside and I went to the teacher and I said my tummy hurts, and then she brought me to the nurse office.
When I asked her to point where your stomach is hurting, she pointed to her upper chest. I got my stethoscope and listened. And her heart rate was about 200 per minute. And I knew, that she needed emergency care.
Sherry called an ambulance and checked Alaina's heart rate again, 250 beats per minute and rising. As an experienced urgent care nurse, Sherry applied an ice pack to Alaina's nose.
She actually knew some techniques to bring her heart rate down. So before she ever even got into the ambulance, her heart rate was already back to normal.
At the hospital, doctors diagnosed Alaina with supraventricular tachycardia. It can happen at random, and if it isn't treated quickly, can lead to cardiac arrest.
The heart chamber's not filling up with blood because the heart's beating so fast.
It was kind of scary because the nurse, he gave me a shot and it went through my hand, and I was really scared if it was gonna bleed a lot.
Despite being shaken up, the Banks family is focusing on the positive and their gratitude that Sherry was there when Alaina needed her.
I feel very, very, very blessed because she had a second episode and the nurse was able to contact me, and just knowing and hearing her voice and saying, but it's okay, that helped because she knew what to do.
For Danielle, thoughts turn to the 50% of schools in California that do not have a credentialed school nurse. Many parents are surprised to learn that the problem isn't a shortage of nurses as much as a shortage of positions. While some states mandate at least 1 nurse for every district, California has no such mandate. Here, it's up to school districts to decide whether to spend staffing money on nurses or prioritize other positions.
Whatever the philosophy is of the school district, the leadership team within the schools. They're the ones that make the determination on whether there's a school nurse and how many school nurses are there. Yeah, funding does tend to be one of the bigger issues, I think.
Representatives of school officials say that districts began cutting nursing positions after the passage of Proposition 13 in the 1970s, with even more cutbacks after the recent recession. Today, they say that districts are listening to what their local community wants and making tough decisions with a limited pool of money.
If you are in a community and you have a really high priority on school nurses, or you have a high priority on football, or you have a high priority on music or art, then whatever those priorities are usually find their way into the budgeting process. But one of the things that happens is that the heart of a school is the classroom. And as you create a budget, everything you do in that budget is to support that teacher and that classroom and those students. And so as you move away from the classroom, whether it's in food services, whether it's in transportation, or any other services like school nurses, the farther away we get from the classroom, that's when the more and more cutbacks tended to be made.
All I can do is send out a plea. Please keep school nurses. They're very important. They're very important for every child, not just mine, but for mine in particular, it's a lifesaver. It's such a blessing.
As our population increases, so does the number of health emergencies in schools. The healthscape in California schools is also changing as thousands of children with special medical needs are now mainstreamed.
We're seeing so many more students on ventilators, with tube feedings, with suctioning, with higher needs than the typical student on the playground. And that requires additional care, additional support than anything that's been provided in the past.
Approximately 1 million children in California, as many as 25% in some school districts, have been diagnosed with asthma. About 15,000 have diabetes, which means 45% of our public schools have children who need blood glucose monitoring. And with obesity posing a health threat to entire families, Dominic West is one 8th grader who's making the most of his customized health plan, outlined and monitored by Nurse Sherry every time she visits him at New Hope Elementary School.
My blood pressure, which is super high, it's like at 100 over 100, something like that, but it's super, super high. But I got it down probably like 20 so far.
Sherry works with Dominic regularly, as well as his family, his teachers, even the lunch lady, to get him out of the red zone.
I heard last week from Keisha that mom will make like chicken patty and then you put it on the school salad.
Like chicken, and I'll cut it up in the morning, then I'll put it on the salad and I'll eat it like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's working. Dominic has lost 40 pounds so far, and Sherry sends him back to class after enrolling him in a local wellness program for teens. Back at Team Charter School, Sherry is conducting a hearing test. Just another one of her regular duties as the school's nurse.
I can't really hear when my teacher says, listen.
Hard for you to hear sometimes? Okay, well we're gonna check it out. Do you hear it? No? Do you have any pain in your ears? Really? Which ear is hurting you? That one?
With the health plan in place and a follow-up scheduled,
Good job.
Nurse Sherry sends another star patient back to class.
Okay, I'll see you later. Bye. That's cute.